Hey guys, Mike here. So, boy, what an interesting day in the market and another volatile day for us to check in for October there. And you can see, got a bounce all right. Who came to the rescue? Da-da-da-da-da-da, the Magnificent Seven. Woohoo! Right? Riding in on their horses because you had the S&P went red, the IWM goes red, the Dow goes red. The Dow Jones Transportation was a hot mess, red. The Qs, the NASDAQ, grinded out a green day. It was up pretty handily, right? Because you got certain stocks like Nvidia that would just, it had a nice day today, to say the least. That thing does not want to go down easy. Let's just say that right there. Then you got stocks reporting tomorrow, which we'll get into. Magnificent Seven, they reported green as well. And so once again, they do their job and pick things up. Now, something important happened today. You need to be, make sure you understand what happened this morning when a certain somebody covered a certain short and the market reacted to that, and yields reacted, and the bond market reacted, and stuff like that, and it wasn't just a nobody. We'll get into that and a lot more here, but let's just start off with that right there. You got billionaire investor Ackman says he covered his bond short this morning early before the market opened. And of course, if you don't know about this, he shorted the 30-year in August, but now he says there's too many risks out there to be shorting bonds right now, and he's absolutely correct on that. There's way too many risks out there. But understand, no matter what you think of the man, he pulled a Michael Burry type thing, right? Where he made a $27 million short in February 2020 on bonds, and he turned it into $2.6 billion. He netted $2.6 billion, I should say. Then he pivoted in March, went long the stock market when everybody was screaming the world was coming to an end, and made another billion. So when you pull something like that off, doesn't matter what you do for the rest of your life. Anytime you come out and say you're shorting bonds or doing that and the other, people are going to listen. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter what you do. All right, because that was a genius move at the time, right? And he is totally right about the risk, right? When things are really risky, that's when you usually see bonds start to go up and yields start to drop. I mean, you got all this stuff, these conflicts going on around the world. Obviously, we know what's happened right here. And he's also saying, be very clear that the economy is slowing down a lot more as well than he thought it would. And so he's just going, and I don't know how much money he made on that short, but he's saying, I'm good, and now we'll see what he does next. And so again, TLT goes green, yields start to drop, all this good stuff. After what the 10-year and the 30-year do this morning before the market opened, set a new high again, went up again. So that's what was kind of scaring the markets there at the beginning. But again, once they sold down, the risky stuff, or I should say not even risky stuff, but the Magnificent Seven tech started moving up and stuff. It was kind of a weird move though, right? And I'm going to get into that what I mean by that. Now, the housing market, still a hot garbage mess right now. You end up with, look at this right here. This is cancellations, right? For people who are going to purchase homes. You had 53,000 U.S. home purchases cancel, which equals to 16.3%. which is almost as high as you can see right there to the left, which was last year, September 2022. And I mean, right now, people, these home purchasers who are canceling are, running away from the market faster than Jamie Foxx ran away from Mike Tyson years ago.
Hey, where your exit? Where your exit, player?
And of course, that's a joke. That was a comedy he did, which I love. Now, another thing to look at here, and it's very important to pay attention to, is Dr. Copper. What's going on with the copper? It hits its lowest level in nearly 11 months. All right. And so in London, that is. But when you look at copper prices, why are they going down? It's pretty easy, right? Because you got the real estate market in China is a mess, right? They're not building anywhere near what they were building. Over here, they're not building as fast as they've even said it because they want to keep the supply very low. And so copper is usually one of those things where you look at because it goes into so many things that if the price is dropping, that means you can tell economies are starting to slow down. So just pay close attention to that. And you can see copper is at a key level here, that this is where we usually get the bounce or the rejection, depending on which way it's moving. And that leads us to something very important that we have to watch, and you better hope if you're a bull it does not happen. And before we continue, guys, please hit that like button there at the bottom. Give it a thumbs up. Helps people find the video. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. I appreciate all you guys' support. And that's the dollar right here. You can see it was weaker today, which kind of saved the market. But when you look at this, I mean, it looks like a bull flag to me. These always don't play out, obviously. But when you look at it, if this does break out and the dollar continues to show strength, that is not going to be a good thing, because the Japanese, almost guarantee they're already trying to come in and defend their currency. So, it's still wreaking havoc in the markets. And so we'll see if this continues to show a little more weakness or breaks out. So just keep that on watch right there. And when you go over, you can see, again, nice green day for the NASDAQ. It was really nice. Then it was kind of just okay or whatever. But again, this 5-day moving average needs to start to turn up. If it turns down, that's not going to be good. Maybe this is like a short-term double bottom, whatever. We'll have to see if that's where we're going to bounce, and we get to keep bouncing. You can see some bullish RSI divergence on the daily right there, where you kind of got even on the top, and the RSI you're showing higher lows. So we'll see if we end up getting or continuing a bounce, I should say. Again, a lot of this whole member is all going to depend on these earnings tomorrow from Microsoft, Google, and then the other earnings coming out Wednesday, right? Because the Magnificent Seven brought it up today. It's been holding up the market. If the earnings are good, guess what? You're going to see some move up most likely, right? If they're bad, then guess where we're probably heading? And, you can see the same thing on the S&P. Here you see lower lows in the S&P, but higher lows in the RSI. So you do got bullish divergence. Doesn't always play out. Doesn't mean it has to keep going up or anything. That trend line, which goes back to October, now will be resistance as we come back up and through. But again, just, I showed you yesterday. If you didn't see that video yesterday, I'll put it at the end for you. What you can, and what I can see the move being for sure. It just would make sense if we were going to move up and then sell back off. But again, the IWM, this one's just a hot mess. It's still sitting in this demand zone right here. Again, if this breaks, oh boy, it's going to be rough right here. The 5-day moving average obviously pointing straight down, graveyard of gaps, zero momentum on this thing, as you can see. And when you look at it, 18% down in 3 months, just no love. And when you look at this demand zone I'm talking about, you can see it was rejection. It was resistance from 2018 to 2020. Then it flipped support in 2000, right at the end of 2020. And so it's been support ever since. And so you can see it holding. If that breaks, we'll start talking more about where the next levels are. Let's wait to see if that actually happens. But again, you're just in a terrible, terrible, probably one of the worst environments I think small caps have been in a long, long time. Now, Tesla, what did we talk about yesterday with Tesla? You can see right here a lot of confluence happening in this area between like 200 and 210. It's going to be a battleground. You got your 2023 anchored VWAP right there. You got your moving average. You got your 50 Fibonacci retracement level. You got some support sitting there right around like 200 to 206 right there. And that's exactly where we bounced right here. We got the low of like 202.46, went straight at 214 very quickly. Okay, so congratulations if you caught that one. Again, this could be a temporary bottom, but when you see an area where you got a lot of confluence in there, where you just realize, man, this is going to be a really big battleground here. So it's like right above the 50 fib, right below the 2023 low for the anchor VWAP and the 200 and all that good stuff. Now the 200 is actually resistance. So we'll see if it holds or not. But that this area, again, it's going to be a battleground. Okay. And NVIDIA was just a monster today. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this one. Huge move up, still below its 5-day moving average and everything, but it was the biggest of all the big mega caps. And I will say this right here, we'll see if this Head and Shoulders obviously gets invalidated. But it must be nice to be so rich. That CEO of theirs, he timed the top perfectly over here and sold $100 million in shares. And that's just not even an inkling of what he has in shares. But yeah, I guess that guy's a billionaire now. But yeah, it must be nice. Let's just see if he sells any more, or do you feel like this thing's fixing to go back up or not. But again, since they don't report earnings for such a long time, it feels like we'll have to see. Now, the weird thing was, that's what I said was so weird about the day, was AMD really didn't show strength, right? It's actually red, and for even when NVIDIA was really green, right? But again, it sat here, it found support at that 2023 low anchor VWAP right there. It's got what is going to be resistance now right there. And then, of course, I like to keep that trend line even when something comes out of a falling wedge or a rising wedge. I want to keep that trend line because that was support as well. All right, and so when you look at this, there's the 200 I'm talking about right there. And when we pull in the 200 moving average, you can see that's the nice support. It's a lot of confluence right there, right? With that trend line, the anchor VWAP, and the 200 moving average. So that is good support for it. I don't mean it can't break through or anything. Now, Meta, again, you can call this maybe a double top. We're going to see if this plays out. They report Wednesday, and so it will mean nothing. Just like Netflix, if they report great earnings, it ain't going to matter. It's going to blow right through any kind of resistance for sure. Again, that trend line is resistance. You see where the target is if it plays out, which would, I mean, it'd be pretty sweet actually. It'd be a great entry for it. It would fill that gap, which has been sitting there for quite a while. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see that. But again, this all depends on earnings. That's why I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking about Meta or a lot of these stocks. Now, Microsoft, this one reports tomorrow, right? Again, I like to keep these trend lines in place because they become support or resistance. And so this one right here is support right now. You can see it. It seems like it's really just trying to consolidate in this area where that resistance is right there. The 50 is support. The 100 is resistance as well. 200 is pretty far down there, as you can see. Again, reports earnings tomorrow. So if it reports well, I can't remember this one whether or not it usually does good after earnings or not. I don't really keep up with this one too much. So let me know in the comments if you happen to know how usually it reacts off earnings and stuff. And then we have Google, who also is reporting tomorrow. And you can see it's been in this rising wedge pattern for quite a while. The 50 moving average right there is being supported at this point in time. You can see this is one of those few that really has kind of just stair-stepped its way up, where you'll see like 7 to 14 days of consolidation. This is a daily chart on there, which is a good thing. And that's why you see those different levels of support. If it does decide to come down, if it breaks, this rising wedge and starts to come back down right there, it will have tree branches to break and so slow down its fall on the way right there as it fills gaps as well. And so, we'll see how this one plays out. If it gets down that volume gap, that's going to be a nice big drop back down to like 105 or something. So that would be a huge drop down. Again, earnings is going to tell us everything we want to know. And we're going to see exactly which direction this market is absolutely going to head in when they report earnings tomorrow after the bell. Now, lastly here, you got Amazon. It's going to report Thursday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see this right here. You got your lower highs forming. It's trying to hold on to this level right here to not set a lower low. Again, the 200 right below right there with a huge volume gap. One little level of, if you want to call it support, you can right there. So it's a little different setup. And again, I mean, this one has had a huge move up, just like Google. And you can see it's had pops on the last couple earnings, sold off, days after. But it has had pops up. So again, if this busts up right here, goes through those moving averages to fill that gap, obviously that would be a change of structure to the bullish side, which would be nice. But if we don't, and we realize the consumers are slowing down and they're not spending as much and all this other stuff, then yeah, you can head down that volume gap and have a lot farther to fall. So just, if you're in this one or plan on getting in this one, just keep that in mind. I do believe it's Thursday, but let's double check here. Yeah, it's going to be Thursday. Now, earnings tomorrow, you'll have Coca-Cola, Verizon, 3M, RTX, Spotify. So those will be big ones. And then Tuesday after the bell, you end up with Microsoft and Alphabet. That's the only thing really people care about. But you'll have Snap. Visa is going to be a big one because that one's sitting there, if I'm not mistaken, like a head and shoulders pattern. Teladocs, Texas Instruments. And then there is a lot of economic data after the bell opens. It's going to be S&P Global Composite PMI, Manufacturing, Services PMI Flash, the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Data and Services Index. We'll have a 2-year note tomorrow at 1, and I'll keep us up to date on that. I don't think that's going to be a problem because those are more short-dated bonds. It's usually 20 and 30-year that are the problem right now. People don't want to buy unless the yields are actually higher because it's riskier to go into it at 30-year at this point in time. And why not just lock in a 2-year? It's almost the same rate anyway. So, it's something we'll look at and everything. But again, just these yields, we'll see if tomorrow morning we set another new high, or is it finally cool off or whatever, because there is a lot of risk out there. I don't really talk about it because I don't know. I don't want to get flagged or whatever for talking about what's going on the other side of the pond over there. But we're talking about sending troops and everything else, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what just happened? So it's getting kind of crazy right now. But these earnings are really going to tell us a lot, especially the Magnificent Seven. The rest of these companies, if they do great earnings, wonderful. They're not going to move markets or anything. So let me know at the bottom how you think it's going to go with Microsoft and Google tomorrow, green or red, and if you're playing any of these and stuff. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you did. Appreciate all you guys who watch and share the videos and all your feedback and everything. And I will see you tomorrow, and have a great night.